The Minnesota Vikings have signed former U of L tight end Cole Hicatini to their practice squad. Former NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick, who has been signed by Nike since 2011 and is also suing NFL owners for colluding to keep him out of the NFL, is one of the faces of Nike's new ad campaign. And last but certainly not least, John Asher has his funeral showing today at the Churchill Downs Jockey Club Suites from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Keep it locked here. Middays with Marcus Maven is next. This is SportsCenter.
Hi.
I gave you 1 minute.
Webb. In 1959, a sharecropper named George attempted to register to vote in the local Tennessee election. Because of the Jim Crow laws in his 5th grade education, he was denied the right. Yet, he persisted. He studied to retake the test and was denied again because of another requirement that he could not fulfill. Yet, he persisted. He studied once again and came back with a group of friends. Before he entered the office, 2 men with weapons drawn told him to leave and never come back. Because of his act of courage, he lost his job, his home, and was kicked off the farm.
Get over it, Steve.
To move to Indianapolis with other.
Is he going to call in? When's he calling in?
Because he was my grandfather.
Is he still at the hospital?
So voting this year, think of my grandfather and the other George Webbs that made the sacrifice for us all to vote. So please, please vote.
Oh, nice. Today?
Listening to
what time?
9 the Ville from the OPC Services Studio.
No. They did? Oh, I need to put that in there. Whoops.
Get back. He was look at his steal. Here's the steal. 3-on-1. Alley-oop. Oh, my goodness.
I need to start checking soccer more.
And you certainly are in love with him here in Louisville. Marcus in the open floor. Hops incredible. Here comes Maven off the steal.
Get up, get up, get up, get up. Let's get ready for Marcus Maven. You're about midway to the midday with Marcus Maven. And you can call in, I lay back and just listen to Marcus Maven. So sit back and relax and watch Maven. Break it down like this. Woo!
Broadcasting live from the OPC Pest Services studio. Time for Middays with Marcus Maven on 93.9 The Ville. Now, here's Marcus Maven and Steve Rummage.
Welcome back. Welcome back. It's Midday with Marcus Maven. 8150 93.9 is the number. 93.9 is the station. And people, I got to tell you, I got in that commute this morning. Everybody was friendly on the road. Everybody looked like they were happy to be going back to work. Maybe Labor Day did take its toll on that. Everyone was forced to be around with their family just a day or two too long coming off this weekend. Steve Rummage in the hospital, Brian Hall in the booth.
This crowd still wants him, even though he's not here. But, no, I'm excited. Steve will be calling in. We'll be talking to Steve a little bit later.
Steve is going to be calling in at some point.
He's got daddy duties. So
right.
You gotta let the
like Steve is in the position where he expects me to respond when he says, "Hey man, I'm not going to be able to make it in today." I'm like, okay.
All right, man. Well, you just let me know when you can, man.
Right. Like we don't have the relationship where I'm going to give you demerits and I'm not going to give you tardies. And listen, we come in here, we do our thing on this show. Like we don't. I don't hold them under personal attendance contracts.
No, not at all. Well, I did real quick want to give a shout out though to my buddy Dave Huffman out at South Park Country Club. We had one of our fantasy football drafts there last night, and I just wanted to let the hospitality be known that the place looks magnificent. The course looks great. If you live out there, definitely give Dave Huffman a call. He's the head pro out there at South Park Country Club. Wanted to give him a shout out because we have our fantasy football draft tonight here for the ESPN League, and I'm pretty ecstatic about it because I'm going to hold it down for the 93.9 crew, and I'm going to get the best team, and we're going to get the money, and we're just going to show everybody who's boss. Are you
what is it? Who are the 93.9 participants? You and Mark?
I'll be in it. I think Mark's in it. Locke puts it on.
Okay.
And so he's the commissioner.
Right.
And he sent out a email to the all staff.
The one he was yelling at you about?
Yeah. Yesterday. yeah. I was getting the wrong end of a beat down there for a minute. But
I'm like, this league must be serious.
yeah, but I'm excited about it. But I don't know who all is actually playing this year. He sends out the mass email. Obviously, I wasn't responding to the mass email.
Right.
So, and that's what he was mad about. So
I'm that guy. Like, I always want to let everybody know it's nothing personal, but I got my league. I got my league, and I'm committed. I'm in a committed fantasy relationship.
I get it. See, I'm a fantasy football freak, so I actually am in 4 leagues, but I do have my.
I would have to get a 3-ring binder for each league.
I love it, man. I eat up fantasy football, but there's one league that I pay attention to more than the rest, and it's one that I've been a part of for 12 years, and we put on. Let's just say that I'm not gonna throw a number up. We put up a good amount of money to do it, and so that's the one. Whenever I talk about fantasy football, I'm talking about that
That's
team.
the one you're talking
and
about.
The other ones, I'm just kind of like, oh yeah, you mean that team? Let me look that up real quick.
So you're a Sunday morning. Check out the other ones just to make
I'm
sure.
in all week. I'm like, all right. Do I have anybody in the Thursday night game? All right, now we're into Sunday. Obviously, big day. Monday, I'm like, all right, who's in the Monday game? Tuesday, I'm like, all right, who's my waiver wire pickup's going to be?
Right.
I'm like,
no,
I'm already on it.
Ours is an 18-player league. I mean, family, friends, high school reunion. I just got one of them, and I can't cheat on those guys.
Yeah.
And
I
ladies.
understand.
Yeah, just so
those are your boys.
So anybody who asks me, like, it's not personal if I say no, I'm not playing in your league.
It's just if I played in it, I wouldn't care about it. So.
Yeah, right. I owe you better than that. So here's the thing, Brian. It's Tuesday morning, right?
Yeah.
We were talking in the back room about Flanagan's.
Big fan.
Big fan. Shout out to Flanagan's. The hospitality was awesome. I had a beverage, and it went into my top 10 beverages of all time.
Uh-huh.
I won't describe it, but I'll leave it at that.
I got a Flanagan story when you're done.
No, I am done. Flanagan's with hospitality. I was just going to do a time hop. So give me your Flanagan story just to give them their shout out to.
Well, I want to talk about they gave me hospitality before they were even a partner of the station. And that was actually, I went there on St. Patrick's Day. And I was with the
That's
lady
so cliche.
friend. And yeah, we were going, Flanagan's on St. Patrick's Day. And went up to the door. And basically, I had a 93.9 the Ville Polo on. And the guy standing there happens to be the owner, and he looks down and is like, hey, do you work for them? I listen to the station all the time. And before I can even get my answer out, I've, of course, handed him my ID because he's checking IDs to go in the door.
Right.
And he's like, you sure do. And he said, it's good to put a face with the name. And he was
That's
like,
awesome.
And he was like, yeah, you and your lady friend are free to go on in.
That's
And I was
awesome.
like, all right.
Yeah.
This is before we were even partners.
Perks to bring Brian Hall.
Yeah, I mean, I like Flanagan's too. All right, so
No, and like I said, the hospitality was immaculate. So just wanted to shoot that. Here's what happens, Brian. I'm getting ready to kind of, put a big picture on the time hop between Friday to Tuesday, and I get this text message or this.
Did you show him the picture yet that you're gonna put?
Oh no!
Okay,
It's already up. YouTube channel. See, that's the reason. The story you just told about Flanagan's is the reason I always say there are always people who want to partner up, with the show. So I want to drive them to, like I said, inbox me, inbox Brian. We can.
I'll be talking to Kenny from Globe Auto Sales later too. There's another partner.
They're just natural.
And he has been amazing. I've been driving the same car all weekend, and I think we're about to talk some numbers and get this thing going.
People would be surprised at how much business can be done very easy with a simple message or a simple inbox. But let me keep going. Friday seemed like such a long time ago, right? And welcome back to the show with this one. We should have shut up and play ball. Ooh. Probably could have snuck on Alabama. We got blasted on mental mistakes. Why are Petrino coach teams so undisciplined?
You know what's terrible?
Is that the first 3831-93.9 is the text line, by the way?
You know what's terrible is, so those of you who don't know, who were out enjoying the pool or something yesterday, we did work on Labor Day yesterday, and we had the whole conversation about the Alabama beatdown and the loss, and we're going to have to do it all again today.
Yes.
But that was my wake-up call right there. I was like, all right, cool. We got all that out of our system. I came in today thinking it was done, and then I was like, oh, no, all the regulars haven't had their conversation about it yet.
Yes.
So we are going to rehash this for a second straight day.
Yes.
Our 51-14
It'll be
loss
my
to
third
Alabama.
straight day because I came in on Sunday and the Sunday morning hangover and Phil Baker
Man, I
and Nick
thought we were going
Curran.
to start looking ahead towards Indiana State. Come on, we want to be on the opposite end of the beatdown.
Oh no, my man Brian. Oh no, it doesn't work like that around here. And I'll say it right now. I'm completely okay with rehashing every element because everything we're going to talk about is going to be basically a feeling/impression based business day. It's going to be a feelings impression based show today. That's the first text message. They go on. If disciplined to cut down on mental mistakes, flags drops, he would be a top 10 coach with top 10 coach with a better record against top 25 talent. Welcome to Tuesday. We can do a lot. We can do a lot with that text message. We'll get to it. So yes, we do have a baby rummage. He was not listening yesterday. He was sleeping from the trip back from Orlando. Yes, all 10 fingers, all 10 toes. Big old baby. I think it was 22.
Baby rum daddy.
Yes. So baby Xavier is here. Steve hasn't got beat up yet. Charity's doing great. They just doing the typical check out of the hospital. Steve,
he'll be checking in with us.
Absolutely. He let us know, everything's working. Like we won't get too graphic. Let me get to the phone lines. People seem excited to jump in here. People, if you haven't been on, feel free. 3831-939, 8150-939. I mean, whatever you've been stewing on, whatever you want to talk about. You want to say, Marcus, I thought you had a chance here. Marcus, you were right. Marcus, you were wrong. I'm here for it all day. But first, Bill Escorts and Sons Collision Center
you were right.
Very, very, very proud to bring you Philly Carl. Philly Carl, thanks for joining us on 939, my man. Fire away.
Good morning, man. Like I was telling Brian, I am ready for my on-air apology for Marcus Maben. And let me tell you why. Years ago, I was calling in, and I was probably the only caller, and I was blasting Rick. You and Brummett used to defend him to the fullest. I even remember I called in. I wish Brian had to say with the interview, and the reporter asked Rick, "But what about man saying Rick just sounded like a spoiled child?" Rick said, "Don't say his name to me." So now Rick is going to got this book out. And he's going to be on Good Morning America in the morning. So not only is he going to probably blast NCAA, he's going to throw Card Nation under the bus too. So on air, do you still defend Rick, Marcus? If not, can I have my apology? Because I told y'all about Rick years ago.
I appreciate the call. You want me to apologize and say you were right about Rick Pitino on something that you think he might do. You just said he's going to throw people under the bus on Good Morning America. You have no empirical data or evidence. You don't have transcripts. You don't have anything that says Rick's going to say anything harmful or detrimental, and hasn't done anything harmful or detrimental since he got fired. No apologies. Take your time. Player, come on, Philly. We don't do that. We wait and see what happens first. But anyway.
Philly likes to stir the pot.
I'm not letting Philly Carl derail this show when we talking about Alabama. Here's the thing. And see, I don't want to let any of these text messages go by because they're important too. Look, okay, see, I'm going to do this. Text her. I see what you're saying. I see where you're going. I want to present this as an opportunity for everybody to get in. By the way, people, we are on YouTube. We are Made for the Ville is the YouTube channel. Even if you don't stay on the YouTube channel, just click subscribe so you get a notification when we go live on air. We got some things. I might just play the cut of the Alabama game during the show. So not only can you see us talk during the show, you can look at the screen of the edited version of the game, which is awesome.
Oh.
People are awesome with that. So here's the thing. In honor of our time hop from Friday to today, what has changed? You know what? Let's go from how you felt exactly when the game ended to Tuesday morning.
Honestly,
No, I mean, listen. You can take your time. Like, don't fire at. But the callers 8150 939 3831 93. I'll go first because I'll set up the kind of things that you should think about when you answer this question. Usually I throw you right under the bus first, but I'll say this.
I got an answer.
That game happens. That game happens. I'm the worst person to ask because in the middle of the game, I see positives. I heard this morning. So
you're the opposite of Rummage. You don't like fire people or like kick people off the team in the middle of the game.
I have.
Okay.
But I don't. Okay. Right? And here's the thing.
You're like, oh, good play. I see that.
I heard the guys this morning making jokes about people who watch the game over and over again are glutton for punishment, or things like that. Like, or masochist, right? Mm-hmm. To me, I told Jason Anderson this yesterday, as a matter of fact. I said, listen, in my personality, I loved watching Jalen Reeves-Maben get it taken to him, right? Mm-hmm. I enjoy the beatdown. I enjoy the lesson being taught when a guy just is tougher than you, because you know what? I know I can teach a kid. When I have the videotape of a guy just being better than you, now you have to listen to what I say. Because you can't go back out there and put that on tape again, because now I have the upper hand. If I want to teach a child, or if I want to teach a player, or if I want to teach any lesson, you know how you got to let it happen, and then you're glad it happened? Because listen, say you go out there and you do all these things wrong, and then you end up making a close game, and then you get this moral victory. Then all of a sudden, they're like, oh, coach, all I needed was, that one slip, and then we would have won. You can't tell him.
The if guy.
You can't tell that kid.
If this happened.
If they go out there and get a couple interceptions and they keep that game decently close, right? That's the worst thing in the world that would have happened, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe that fumble recovery goes back for a touchdown. Maybe Alabama, maybe Tua gets hurt, right? And then Jalen Hurts comes in and they don't get to run up that score the same way. Just small things that could have happened. You know what? Then you bring home this Louisville team. You know what I'm saying? Thinking that they're that close to Alabama. That's the nightmare to me. Get the beat down. Get the full beat down. Get the full beat down. So here's the thing. Ooh. Most people who saw that game went from we're trash to Alabama is pretty good, right? To well, at least Juwan Pass is pretty good, and at least we did get a couple sacks or we got some pressure. Like, I felt people lighten up. Some people, when they heard about the mistakes with the 12 men on the field, some people got angrier, and some people lightened up a bit. I want to know 8150 939 3831 939. How much of your opinion about what happened in the Alabama game has changed from immediately following the game to Tuesday morning at 10:20. What has changed for you? By the way, we are on YouTube. We are made for the Ville. Firing away. Well, they said Steve's picture is creepy. By the way, go ahead. I'm listening. Sorry, Steve. I was looking for the funniest one.
But yeah, no. Anyways, I'm gonna be honest with you and say that so I was excited going into the game. I mean, if you're talking about raw emotion, I was excited,
and nervous,
then I was like pissed off, and then it was it mellowed out. But as far as the way I actually looked at the team itself, I really don't think I look at them any differently now than I did last week. And the reason I say that is because, honestly, as much as I was getting excited and I wanted to read into what the coaches were saying, and I was starting to kind of buy into Bobby Petrino and Louisville and just everything going forward this year and Juwan Pass, and buying into everything. And then this happens, but in reality, in the back of my mind, I knew that more than likely we were probably going to get beat, and we were probably going to get beat pretty good. And so as far as my outlook for the season, it doesn't really change that much as far as what I think Louisville is capable of. It's Alabama. That's a beast in itself, and you just have to keep that in mind. But it's I don't know, but I agree with your statement that you were making about if I would. It's kind of like when you almost have like a hole in one in golf. You're like, I'd almost rather be on the opposite side of the green and just not even have thought that if I just barely changed it, I could have made this shot.
Right.
And like with you, it's almost like I'd rather get beat down and then have to come back to a really hard practice and have that wake up call and be like, okay, you guys really need to start getting focused than to play Alabama really close and really we're not that good yet, and they get it in their heads that they're better than they are.
Right. Because here's the thing, people, and I know I'm kind of repeating that point. You cannot teach without good examples of how much further you have to go. That's the most dangerous thing about moral victories. And here's the thing: this was a confident team going into Alabama, which makes it even better, like moving forward. Confident teams need to get waxed, right? Some teams that aren't as confident, they can benefit from the moral victory. So listen, if you take a Louisville team down to Orlando and they're not confident, and the coach knows they're not confident, and then you fight and guys kind of just kind of tighten up a little bit, and maybe Jawan Pass tightens up a little bit, or maybe your kicker, you lose the game because your kicker's a little off. Different teams with different personalities benefit more from different results. Confident teams need to get their arse handed to them, because then you come back and you refocus everybody. As a fan, you hate it, and then you start my morning with texts like, "We should have just kept our mouth shut." Right? Like, that's the text you get when you show a confident team, right? But if you go down there and say, we just really want to keep it close and just be within, at least 3 touchdowns down late, right? If you go down there with that super humble thing and then you get waxed, you know what they say? This team has no confidence. They're not 5 stars. They suck. Like, there's a narrative for both teams. This team needed the humbling experience. Maybe they work hard. They also need this. And I speak on this from personal experience. Scott Davenport used to tell me this to my face, wanted to kill him. Your biggest problem is nobody can challenge you for your spot. Right? What if you have guys on your team right now that are not getting challenged on a daily basis for their spot? I mean, you can have depth all you want at some positions, but it's a difference between schools with challengers at every spot versus a team with challengers. We got a DB position. There's about 4 guys for 2 spots. I mean, that's not really challenging. Somewhere else, there's 7 guys for 2 spots where everybody has to be a dog on a daily basis. Like, here, you can't do anything about that. That takes years. That takes 15 years to build up that kind of depth at all positions. So,
and competition makes you better.
Right. And I'm just making kind of generalizations with this. I'm not necessarily accusing this team of that, but I'm just talking about, how things should be developed.
No, I mean, you're right. And Alabama and when you go into a game like Alabama, that's kind of what you want to get out of it. I mean, not to say that, someday you don't want to compete with them, but I'm just saying, like, when you're undermanned against an opponent, you want to come out of that game just kind of as a wake-up call to guys, kind of light a fire under them, show them where they should be, how you compare to this team, and how far you really need to go.
Right. You have a long way to go. And here's the other thing. People will pass judgment on the game and say, "Oh, you guys gave up in the third quarter," right? And to your point, Brian, I don't care who you are. When you fight a starter for a half, a really good top-level starting player, and you kind of go toe-to-toe with him, and he gets the best of you here and there on a couple of things, and then they bring in a second-stringer guy, and you're still out there, and your second-stringer is damn near as good as this first-stringer. I mean, maybe not quite as good, but he's at full strength, and you've been battling with the first-stringer all day long. You know what that does? That takes something out of you psychologically, and you can sit there and say, "Oh, well, you're still supposed to be fighting." No. When you're dealing with a new 5-star, in the third quarter who is fresh and extra hyper motivated because this is his chance, and you've been playing the same. You've been on the field all day long and tired. Like, I don't care who you think you are. That stuff wears on you, and it wears on your body language. And you can say all you want. Oh, that's Bobby. Keep him motivated. That's not how human psychology works.
I think who really benefits from something like this is a guy like Becton, who is a sophomore, and he's coming in, and he's a guy that's going to play in the NFL someday. And getting to go up against these type guys, you know, he's almost there. I mean, he is a guy that's capable of being potentially a first-round pick or second-round pick or just a high draft pick. But, you know, working against guys like Alabama that maybe he's going up against a senior, and he just learned some little things here and there. Like, okay, here's something that I need to prepare for a little bit better.
It takes time.
And a guy like that, I think, could really benefit from a game like this.
Yeah, look, it goes back to Bobby saying we're going to leave Juwan Pass in. He needs the reps. That's okay to get long-term reps. Kevin, thanks for joining us on the Escort Collision Center hotline, my man. What's on your mind?
What's up, guys? Hey, man, you know what? I was kind of, I ain't a negative person too much anyway. And you used to ask her how you felt after the game. You remember that episode of Martin when Jerome was trying to date Pam, and then she let him down easily, and then he said, "Oh, well, I'm still a player." That's how I felt after the game.
Right.
Because I could see, I mean, the whole time while I was watching the game, we had pretty good seats. And, you know, the Alabama fans, as far as them being, you know, overly excited and stuff like that, you didn't really see that really until after the game was out of reach. I mean, they were kind of, cautiously optimistic, you know, throughout the whole game, but they didn't really get, like, taunting or borderline rude and stuff like that till the game was, you know, real far. So we had their attention. But the things I took away from the game that I saw that was positive is I was pleasantly shocked how well the Lions protected. I thought Pluma had a lot of time early, and he was making good reads, and we kind of had him off balance. But once the score, you know, got out of hand, when we became more one-dimensional, then that's when things kind of went south, you know. But as far as the running backs, I don't really have a complaint with the running backs because it is what it is. I mean, sometimes you can't run against teams, and that's I mean, we could have broke off a couple of runs, but you know, the playbook shrinks, and then you keep getting in these, you know, losing that extra 5 yards. People don't realize how important that is. But if they would have ruled that a fumble early, and we ran that touchdown back, I think that would have kind of changed the complexion of the game. But I think the biggest complaint that I had, and I kept telling my buddy at the time, is the kicker.
Oh,
you know,
you can't start the game like that.
Well, not even that. I'm talking about when he punts. He's got a good leg, but he don't put enough air under it, so they got a full head of steam before we even 10 yards to get to the guy. You know, you gotta. I mean, don't go for distance. Sometimes go for coverage instead of the distance. You know, even on that kickoff when we got penalized on the kickoff, he kicks a line drive, and then they run it right back after we score. And, you know, if we can correct the little things like that, I think that's going to, you know, I mean, going forward, I mean, just like my buddy said, he said, well, who else we going to play as good as them the rest of the year? So, you know, saying you like you got your whooping.
Right.
So now everything else is, you know, I think everything else is manageable.
Listen, Kevin, I appreciate the call. And I'll say this. I was going to say this to you, Kevin, but some of the texters kind of forced me to lump your conversation into some others. And just to your point of special teams, do you know who was on special teams? 5-star backups. Do you know who's blocking on special team punts? 5-star wide receivers are all on the special teams. That's what makes a team like that
Patrick
good.
Surtain Jr., who was the #1 player in the country last year.
Right. Are on special teams.
Yeah, he's not even starting.
That's their only chance to shine. right?
And you know how they talked about the defensive backs? Man, that Thompson kid was unreal.
Listen, and that's
He's so fast.
That's okay, because you have to see it for yourself. You have to learn that for yourself. And I'll do this. I'll knock down a couple of these text messages because I want to make a point.
You know who I'm talking about, though, number 14, real quick? The Thompson kid?
Yeah.
Like, he seemed like he was in on every play.
Just
and I was
or near it.
And they said that he was the most experienced in their secondary, and he had maybe started 3 times. But that guy's playing in the NFL someday.
Facts.
So is half their team.
No,
yeah.
I was going to say fact. You know, but that's okay. It's okay to accept things like that. I'm not taking away the mistakes Louisville made. But here's the thing. I'm going to read this to you because here's a great point. Not a great point, but I'm going to make a great point on it. Once again, our team is undisciplined. If anything, we should have been able to line up 11 players on the field and happen every year, like it or not, Bobby Steele's warming up.
Yeah.
So you get that one, right?
Everybody's complaining about that.
But here's the thing. I said it yesterday. I'll say it again. It's a mistake. It's a bad mistake. But think about if people who don't like Bobby are hanging on 80% to that mistake, and you're not complimenting every other thing that he brings to the table, you're nitpicking, right? Yeah. And here's the thing. It was 3 times on offense. It was 1 time on defense. You know why it was on defense? It's because your Jonathan Grenard is the captain of the defense. He makes all the calls. These things can happen simply. And maybe I'm just too sensitive to it because I know how easy it happens. I know when you bring a freshman in, I know coach draws up a play and he says, everybody, this is the play, and I want you to lead your man, right? Hey, Marcus, every time this happens, you lead your man, right? Mm-hmm. You know what the play is called, though? Lead, right? Mm-hmm. In basketball, Denny Crum, will we agree? Yeah. Smartest coaches ever to play the game. When he's just explaining how you set up your man, he says, Marcus, you lead him this way, and then you go boom, boom.
And so then on the bench, when he wants it, he says, lead.
And now I'm thinking about leading my man, setting up my man, right? Yeah. Now I'm running the wrong play.
The other team knows what you're gonna do.
Reese Gaines is out here calling lead, right? Crum is saying lead. But you get what I'm saying? Like that's verbiage that works in 2 ways. Now, what if you have that? I've done it. I've been yelled at for it. So it makes sense to me. It's not stupidity. To me, people calling that stupid is making it's a mistake. Mm-hmm. But it's not stupidity. It's not, fault like because coach he can't even lie. Like what are you talking about? Like all the millions of things that he designs routes that are perfect. He designs guys to get open in one-on-one situation. Okay, anyway, I'm not even going to argue that point. But here's the thing. Did you watch College Texter, who just wrote, once again, our team's undisciplined. Did you watch college football this weekend? Did you watch supposedly preseason coach of the year, Mark Richt, and his Miami team with 8 first-half penalties?
I saw it.
You saw it, Brian.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, obviously, you and I were the only people that saw 8 first-half penalties. But you know what you saw out there? You saw a bunch of Miami kids, right? And you know what you saw? On fourth or third down and short, or 4th and short, you know what they did? They went up to the line. The LSU went up to the line, went, hut! Fake snap, jump off sides, 5 yards, right? Did you tweet Miami? You pride yourself on being a college football fan. Do you fire Mark Richt because his guys are jumping off sides? Even though Mark Richt said, do not jump off sides. Mm-hmm. Do not jump off sides. And that guy goes, hut! 3 people jump off sides. Do you fire a coach?
Nope.
I mean, even if you sat in that practice and listened to him say, anybody who jumps on a 3rd and short, I'm going to physically choke you, right? I guess can't even make that joke now because some coaches really are choking people. Yeah, but you get my point. You can hear a practice and hear a coach say it 1,000 times. You can't stop somebody from jumping off sides but you know what you can say? Oh, well, if he stressed it more in practice, then they wouldn't be so undisciplined. Yes, they would.
Did it seem to you though that like college football just in general had more penalties all across the board? Because even Herb Street and Fowler, who were calling the Louisville Alabama game, made a point during the third quarter to say, "Is this just the most penalized quarter that you've ever seen?"
It was college football. Everybody who thinks that Bobby or Louisville is undisciplined, you're not watching football. You think about this. Florida State went and got a new coach because he thought some new coach with some offensive genius, which is what was going on, some new coach, Taggart, with some offensive genius. They scored 3 points against Virginia Tech. And that's what new hot coach guy gets. And when I say, I'll give Taggart a pass. When you're teaching these new plays and these new systems and these new designs that you got to trick, you focus less on execution and more on learning the plays.
If this was later in the season, I'd be a little more mad. I think it's one of those things where, like, you're making the point that just the new coaches, Van Gorder coming in, I know one of the 12-man penalties was on the defense, 2 were on the offense, and I think 1 was on the special teams. But you got all new personnel, you got new coaching staff on the defensive side, plus it's always you get more disciplined as the season goes along, but you also learn the new rule changes. And what I mean by that is in the first game, you have to adjust to the new rules, and a lot of times the coaching staff hasn't even completely adjusted to the new rules until they actually see it in person in front of them.
Until it gets called.
And they'll make some adjustments off of that. I mean, and I'm not saying that obviously clearly a 12-man penalty is a 12-man penalty, but I'm saying some of the other penalties that just adjustments that are made through the rule changes.
Here's the thing. I don't care about criticism. You can't have 12. Everything has to be clear. Okay. But if you're not comparing it to the landscape, the best teams are disciplined because they can concentrate on execution. Other teams are not. They don't have the ability. Listen, Clemson doesn't have to show anything difficult yet. They don't have to do that. They can concentrate on simple formations, simple plays. When other teams that have to kind of shoot their shot a little farther, that takes time. That takes preparation. That takes all that stuff. I don't care if you're mad that he got it, but if you're not going to compare him to all the other programs and all the other teams that got to be, Miami scored 17 garbage points. LSU ran 4 plays all game long. Not one. I watched a Bobby Petrino run a play, right? The cameraman was following the entire team, and if you were eyeballing that television, you knew, here he comes. You saw the one guy sneaking through. You know those little routes where you just got one guy running the opposite way of everybody, right? And he gets that ball, and the TV pans out. And then you see this Louisville player running with the ball, and Juwan Pass tosses it right out in front of him. And you see this guy running with this ball by himself. And when the TV pans out, you see nothing but green. You're waiting for an Alabama player to come in the screen as this kid's running wide open. And there's one Alabama player, and he tackles him.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, my God, that was it.
They had some of the best open field tackling.
That's what I'm saying. Or maybe I'm just crappiest, or the crappiest open field moves on this team. But you know what? Now we got the footage. Now when I go to you and say, Tutu, I need you to make this guy miss.
I think that's why Bobby was not overly mad. When you look,
him.
When you look at you listen to him in the post-game show, you listen to him, yesterday, talk to the media, he didn't seem like he was really mad about a whole lot, and I think it's because he thought that his play calling, he executed, that he had the play because he wants to set up his guy one-on-one, and he banks on his guy beating their defender, and that's what Bobby set up for with Alabama, but their one defender beat our one playmaker every time.
Right. Perfect. Their playmaker beat our playmaker. Now I can talk to my playmakers about that. Now I can show them the tape. I got people at the beginning of this game. You remember I spent pregame talking about a mentality. You give me a play action pass, a Jawan pass hitting Mickey Crum. Early decision, quick decision, wide open. Mickey Crum does not get out of bounds. He lowers his head. He pops that Alabama cornerback. That Alabama quarterback almost gets a targeting call, almost gets thrown out. Bobby Petrino sees that and he says, okay, that's a soldier that I can. Mickey Crum is a soldier that I can go to war with. Bam, he's good. You get this ball, like I said, I'll just point this out. I'm not picking on this kid in particular, but the psychology of the play. You get the 3rd and short, Jawan pass, absolute soft, gentle, stork-delivered cradle football to Trey Smith over his shoulder. I'm not as mad at Trey Smith as I am proud of Jawan Pass for making such a perfect throw in a situation. Don't get me wrong. I'm angry at Trey Smith though. But I was, okay, the next 3rd and long opportunity, frozen rope. Tutu Atwell drops the ball. Maybe it's pass interference, maybe it's not, but we learned a lesson. You got to attack that ball. You got to come back to the ball. You got to make a play. Brian, their playmaker made the open field tackle, and my overly confident playmaker did not. But I've seen my playmaker make that guy miss in practice and run it. Now,
like you said, you got those little ifs, you got those momentum swings. If Tutu catches this,
right, and
we get a first down, and it's a whole change.
And a coach sees that a coach knows that Tua
was just one small mistake away from being a nice play.
That Tua pass to the end zone for that first touchdown, that was a broken play. That wasn't an executed play that worked. That wasn't a route where he just goes there and stands in the corner end zone and the ball gets flung out. I can go yell at my DB for that one.
Fixable.
Coach Van Gorder had this thing totally schemed. That was the opportunity. You didn't make a play, and they did.
Mm-hmm. And on the offensive side of the ball, we got you one-on-one, but they just made the tackle. They made their open field tackles. We didn't make defenders miss.
And I can find out which guy can make it. Like I said, you can take it back to Reggie Bonifant. You have to. Congratulations, Reggie, by the way.
Yeah.
He makes the Carolina practice squad. Good job. You get your foot in the door. Your talent to develop. That's a fact. But you get what I'm saying. Some schemes just didn't work. But here's the thing. If I tell you have one-on-one coverage with this guy and he makes a jab step on you and burns you, my only option is find someone that won't get burnt. But that wasn't a scheme thing. That player knows that's his responsibility. Let me get to this phone line. David, thanks for joining us on 939, my man. Fire away.
Hey, how you doing, Mark?
Good.
The only thing I can say is on the football team is that the tackling. I think we're going to be all right offensively. But the one thing I can say about Petrino, he's supposed to be a genius offensively, and I will give him that. But we have seen him work magic. But the thing is, you've seen how Saban was acting on the sideline. They was up 50 to whatever it was, the score was. But I'll tell you this, he's upset and he's acting out and everything because he expects the most out of the players. I don't care if they're 5-star, 3-stars, 2-stars. Yeah, you got a better team when you got 5 stars across the board, but he still expects them to be the way they are. I mean, be the best they can be no matter on every play. And that's got to be across the board on every college football team. You got a coach or head coach that wants to be the best and expects the best out of the players, then they're going to give you the best out of the players. And I played the game before. But the only thing I see the problem is that we've had the last couple of years is special teams and defense. I think if we get those two things corrected, I think that we're going to be all right.
Let me ask you this.
All right.
Let me ask you this with special teams, and this is a very serious question because I'm struggling with this one. If you were Bobby Petrino, would you put your starters on special teams?
If I don't have the second, like the backups, how you have Alabama has backups that they can put in and replace those. If I don't have backups to replace my starters, no, I'm not going to do that. I have to see what my secondary. But you do admit that their special team suffers because they don't have that heavy level depth to do that. I think that's a part of the problem. We don't have the depth to do what we need to do. So you can't where the player at, because even though they might be in the best shape they possibly can be, 60 minutes of the game banging against each other, you're going to get tired. You're going to have some fatigue set in, and the mental lapse is going to set in when you have fatigue. It's just no question about it.
Right.
But, we have to get the depth, and we just got to fix a few things. Special teams, I don't want to be too critical because I love my U of L, but I just can't stand poor tackling. There's no excuse for that. I don't care who you play against. I don't care what size or who they are, this and that. You got to wrap up. When I see a 275-pound man or a 6'6", 6'4", 75-pound man, 275-pound man taking and throwing his shoulder into a running back that's 50 pounds lighter than him, we got to tackle. And that's what I've seen the last couple of years. Our tackling has got to be better. And if it was better tackling, I think that the run game on Alabama or whatever would have been a lot better. But you can't have them running through the first man, and then we got 2 or 3 men reaching and grabbing like we Nintendo. You can't reach like that. You got to put a helmet on the man's number and twist and take him down. That's just the only complaint I have.
No, listen, I appreciate the call, Dave. I saw it too. I saw better pursuit. I saw when they got to it, they were still tackling high. I was frustrated by that. I didn't see the same sacrifice. But again, there's some teams that have been. You gotta shut that. There's some teams that are able to tackle full force. They're able to scrimmage a lot full force. And again, this is not excuse. These are facts. These are, if you've been on any teams, if you've been on different kind of teams, some teams you have to kind of coast and you have to, execute a little lighter than normal. Let me get to this phone line. Joel, thanks for joining us on 93.9, my man. Fire away.
What's up, Marcus? Yeah, man, first off, like I was telling Brian, I'm really disappointed, man. Not that, obviously, I kind of was back and forth. Mostly saying I didn't think we were going to win. So I'm not really talking about that. But to me, I look at it like, and when you talked about the discipline, I get it being the first game and just that particular one, but as far as I know, man, the last 2 to 3 years, Louisville's been has the most penalties in the conference for the ACC the last 2 or 3 years. So it's not just a one-game thing, man. There's some kind of trend there that we've seen. So, that's concerning. The other part is, man, I look at it like this. The caller before just brought up the tackling, which here we are again, man, D1 football, and we watch these kids who don't even know how to properly tackle is just mind-boggling to me. And the secondary, that's another super weak spot again, it looks like. And to me, I look at it like this, Marcus. It's year 5, man, for Petrino. And I know people like to hop on and say, hey, look, he's going to be there, he's going to do this and that. But to me, man, this is year 5, and like I said, I ain't necessarily saying we should have won that game. But to me, by year 5 in the Petrino era, I'm thinking we're at least competitive between a 17, 20, even a 20-point type of game. Not what I saw out there on Saturday, which was another undisciplined-looking defense. Some good spots, I will say, is the pressure. I like that. But overall, the tackling and all that, still a concern. So, it's just overall, man, a disappointment.
Let me ask you this. Did they look better than Florida State and Miami?
Yeah, they did. I'm not saying that.
Is that and this is, listen, you're saying that, year 5 and things like that. You do realize this is an ACC schedule. And when people come up with those numbers like, they're 9-9 in the last game, you do realize 9-9 is 3 Clemsons and Alabama, a number 5 ranked Florida State. Like, you realize this is not Conference USA Big East.
Right.
Bobby Petrino.
What I will say this, and I'll ask you this, Marcus, is let's say, this is my opinion, but I think Petrino, like I don't count, like a lot of people jump off a bridge off the first game. You know, that's how they do it. They'll come back around. You know, and I think Louisville, that game is behind them. They can have a good season. I see that. But let me ask you this: if Petrino goes out there again the rest of this year, and let's say they finish up with like a 6-6 type of season, I mean, is this Bobby Petrino? I guess my question to you is he untouchable? Because to me, I think we put Petrino on this pedestal, and I know what he did for us the first stint. I get it. But I think people got to look higher on that Louisville job, man. I get the recruiting part. We're not in the sweet spot of recruiting, and it's a tough road with recruiting. But my thing is, man, we're in the ACC now. That school supports football. Look at the facilities; they're top notch. And I just think people sometimes undersell what type of program Louisville can have. Now, I'm not saying you're going to go out and win the national title every year, but what I am saying, we need to pick off some of these teams that are ranked. You know what I'm saying? That record of the 1-12 or 1-15 against top 25 competition. I think Louisville's better than that, man. And I'm not trying to be pie in the sky guy and live in non-reality here.
Right.
I just think they're better than what people are making them out to be as a fan base, because we're not where we were 10 or 12, 15 years ago in Conference USA, like you brought up. They got a lot to sell there, man. And I don't think Bobby Petrino is just this guy that Louisville has to stick with, even if he underperforms, and that's just kind of where I'm at. We'll see where it goes the rest of the year, and I guess I'll evaluate after that. But just my thoughts on it, man.
Right,
Have a good one.
Joe. Listen, I appreciate the call, and I'll say, like, I don't think he's untouchable. But here's the thing: we asked the question yesterday. If we're just throwing out coaches right now, like, because since everyone loves to say it's a coach's thing, and you have to it has to be a coach issue every single time. It can't be a program issue, it can't be a schedule issue, it can't be a state of the university issue. Give me, if you can name 4 coaches right now that you can bring in that would do a better job. I mean, I'm all ears. I asked the question on air yesterday, probably. Jim Harbaugh, coach, hot coach name. That's a coach who could just all of a sudden come up open. Let's say you said Harbaugh. Tom Herman for Texas. Willie Taggart was the hot name last year. Wait, Herman, Taggart, Brom, all of the coaches who were the hottest names in the last 24 months, they're all 0-1 right now. Every hot coach you name is 0-1. Every single one. So are you saying that I'm so mad at this coach that I'm willing to just go get anybody and give them a shot? Like, let's be practical here. Like, okay, like, how many of your coaches are creating a Heisman Trophy, are bringing a Heisman Trophy to their school? Go look at the schools where the Heisman Trophies have come from. Go look at the records. I'm arguing with a buddy last night over lunch, or yesterday over lunch. You know what he said to me? And this is unfortunate because I consider him a smart person. He says, that was all Lamar Jackson. Man, he just sent him out there and let him run and do what he wanted to do. That was all natural talent. Now, I consider this guy a friend who said this to me. Man, Bobby didn't do nothing with that. I said, okay, so he went out there and ran. Yeah, that's all he did. I said, you do realize for 2 years he was tops in the nation in offense, passing as well. Yeah, that was just all natural raw talent. I'm listening to him say that. I'm telling him, you do realize no other program was going to even let Lamar Jackson be a quarterback. Florida was taking him as a slot. All these other schools, Miami, they're going to make him a specialty kick return guy. You're not even giving credit for believing that you can coach a guy into an offensive quarterback position. That's what I'm saying. Your state of the program, you're don't compare it to Conference USA, Bobby, AAC, Bobby, Metro, Big East. You play Alabama, Clemson, Florida State, and Clemson are every year. There's always another ACC school in the top 25. Your schedule is different. You're automatically, if you're in, okay, let me ask you this. If Bobby Petrino this year was in the Big East or Conference USA, what would you project his win total be? Right? Conference USA schedule, what let's say AAC. AAC schedule or Big East schedule. 11-1. Is that what you want? 11-1. You play Les Miles, texter. They were gonna fire Les Miles when they thought they could get Bobby Petrino. Don't you know that? Their boosters were going to lead a revolt for not landing Bobby Petrino. Texter, Les Miles, he got ran off because can't miss 5 stars. And I will not disparage my university whatsoever, but I'm telling you, your recruiting base matters. And every school's top recruiter is the guy from Texas, Florida, New Orleans, Georgia. That's where your talent comes from. I'm not saying you don't have 8 local Louisville players that can get it, that can just get it done. But your 360-pound lineman that runs a 4.5 is in abundance in southern areas, southeastern areas. That's a fact. Louisville competes against a lot of unnatural, like that's why you give our baseball coach so much credit. Because he's not in a warm place.
Yeah.
Dan McDonald.
The South. He recruits up in Ohio.
He has to recruit north. That's not where you get your
baseball talent, yeah.
Right. But you know what we say?
Not the hotbed.
Dan McDonald, for what he has to work with, is doing awesome. But you know what I'm saying? Fire Dan McDonald because he can't win the big one.
Mm-hmm.
You know what you say? No, dude.
You're right. We're not in a recruiting hotbed. I mean, there's really only about maybe five guys that come out of 5 to 10 that come out of the Kentucky area that are really high-level D1 players.
The first thing John Harbaugh says is, I can't win unless I can recruit Florida openly.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fact. Louisville is not, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're doing a damn good job if you get a player. Let me take these quick calls. We're heading up the top hour. Callers, I need you to be quick on this one. Eric, thanks for joining me on 93.9, my man. Fire away.
All right, Marcus. I watched that game. Obviously, I thought we were going to win going into that game. I really had a hope that we were going to win and show up really well. And what I took from that game is that Alabama's just that damn good. Louisville made some mistakes. Louisville did some things wrong, but I really think it's just Alabama's that good. You look at our schedule coming up. We have, Clemson, who's just as good, if not better than Alabama. But everybody else on our schedule, if we could correct some of the mental mistakes that were made, I thought Juwan looked good. I thought the whole first half, the offensive line blocked well. I thought there was a lot of positives. The defense is aggressive, and, I can take the aggressive defense that might give up a big play, but at least they're being aggressive and maybe cause a turnover versus what we had last season.
Right.
And so the last thing I'm going to say, Marcus, is, I'm a Bobby Petrino fan. I grew up during his first era. So, I was always at the games thinking we were going to win every single game at home. And so, I love Bobby. I'm not saying Bobby is necessarily the guy that has to be, that he's irreplaceable or untouchable. But let's remember, you know, people are like, oh, well, we need Jeff Brom right now. Jeff Brom comes out and loses their first game against Northwestern at Purdue. You know, he all these people that say they want more stuff, which I love Jeff. I would love to have Jeff. But let's not forget that right now we're sitting in a place where we're winning 7, 8 games, maybe more, 9, 10, every single year. And we could, you know, with one wrong hire, go back to Cragthorpe days. And we don't want to go back there.
Right.
So if I had to choose between 8 and 5 Bobby Petrino and Cragthorpe, I'd rather choose Bobby Petrino all day long. That's the only thing I got to say, Marcus.
No, listen.
Thanks. I love this show. So sorry.
No, I appreciate it. I mean, like I said, I don't need to do excuse day. Like, I'm comfortable saying, you know, this season isn't as good. That season isn't as bad. You start giving me options other than we'll just try something. We'll try somebody new. You start giving me, and you start giving me more than we lost because of we lost to Alabama because of the four calls. You go find a coach that doesn't have a team that's jumping off sides in key situations. Go find me that coach. Go tell me this coach does not make and don't give me Alabama. Don't give me Georgia doesn't. Yeah, they don't have to. They don't have to jump off sides. Oh man, that's an injury. That was bad. Let me move along. Cool guy Don, thanks for joining me on 939, my man. Fire away.
It's Big Mike, man.
That was
how's going on?
Look, blame the producer on that one. What's going on?
Not much. I had a question for you in a statement. I got a question and a little something I want to say. I want to just ask, who besides Bobby, outside of Bobby, who would you get to coach the squad?
Right.
I'm asking you. That's the question. It's not rhetorical.
No, that's my point. My point is I don't have an answer for you. That was my point when I started the show. If I had a guy who I thought could come in here and not give me 3 years of losing and saying, "Oh, wait till he gets his players in," right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. No. So I asked you that to say Bobby's playing over his head. I think all considered, Bobby is coaching over his head. With these same players right here, you understand, with the same recruits that we have right now, I don't think there's a coach outside of Sabins of the world and Urbans of the world. Outside of them, what he's got, recruiting is the issue. Okay, so we need to address recruiting because given the talent, he's going to coach his tail off. Coaching, I'm realistic. I feel like coaching is really not the issue. We're playing over our head. We ain't winning no consecutive ACC titles or playoff bids until we start getting those top 20 recruiting classes. Outside of that, man, these kids, listen, who was that, I'm drawing a blank, Marcus, that got wide open and got chased down from the back?
James Quick?
No, against Alabama.
Who's Seth Dawkins? Yeah, Seth Dawkins.
Yeah, exactly. And that was that middle linebacker. A middle linebacker, Marcus.
See, and I can let Bobby Petrino yell at him about that, right? Like, is that okay?
But listen, he's not trying to get called. He doesn't want to get called. You know what I'm saying? It's all his body. He's running as fast as his body can carry him, literally. I mean, you got to get them stars up on the recruit trail.
No, listen, I appreciate the call. And here's the thing. Just to address your recruiting point, Brian, Steve is not in here. I need you to deliver this name, right? I need you to deliver this name. Who is the top recruiter for Louisville right now?
The top recruiter?
Yeah, also son-in-law.
LD Scott?
LD Scott, right? But how about this? If you're a guy who argues the recruiting's the problem, guess what you were doing 2 weeks ago? Talking about nepotism and LD Scott. He's the best recruiter. Every other school is offering him. They're trying to buy him away from Louisville, right? Yeah. Like, listen, you have to go pay for big time recruiters.
You got them locked into that family code.
Right. But people don't see that. They say, "Oh, well, I don't care what's wrong. Just fix it with." Well, okay. Well, guess what? We need some more money in the budget to go get the top. We need to go buy away Florida State's top recruiter.
LD's like, the benefit of keeping my father-in-law happy is a benefit alone for me to stay here at Louisville.
We can joke around about it, But listen, everybody knows that Louisville, every time you keep a coach, there's a big sigh of relief. Every single time you keep a coach, because there's still some facts about life that you have to remember, that Louisville is not the most glamorous job. If we get you here, we got you, and it takes a lot to get you out of here. But again, if I'm a coach and I have to worry about politics influencing my job, that's not where you want to be. And then I watch Ohio State. I watch them manipulate the system. I watch Michigan State get an all clear letter from the NCAA. Oh, we know you weren't worried about it, but just in case you were worried about it, there was no wrongdoing. We just wanted to make sure we let you know what was going on. When I watched North Carolina get an all clear, right? When I watched Texas come in there and they say, "What do you need, Herman?" I need $1 million weight room. Okay, or $1 billion weight room. What do you need, Charlie Strong? I need $1 billion, this or that. These other jobs with schools with state school jobs are just different. You have to factor in all these things, not just frustrated at the team. D, thanks for joining us. Hit an ID after this, Brian. Sorry about that. D, thanks for joining us. What's on your mind?
Hey, Marcus, look, first of all, love the show. Your show is best on radio. Right now, and I love listening to it.
Appreciate it, man.
Listen, everybody's bashing on Bobby. Okay, like I've been listening for 3-4 days now, bashing on Bobby. Morally bad Bobby. Coaching bad Bobby. Gets 12 guys on the field, bad Bobby. Listen, I had an issue. Listen, when Bobby Petrino came back, and then I found out that he kept his promise to coach their children's hospital. All right? And that right there, boom, moral Bobby was great in my book, okay? As far as coaching goes, yeah, Marcus, you're right. He's not in the Conference USA. He's not in the Big East. He's not an independent. He's not a nobody, conference. We're in the ACC. We're playing against ACC defenses. We're playing against recruits, that are better than any recruits we've ever played against. And for one, Bobby's recruiting on a higher level than any coach that's ever come into U of L. All right? We haven't had top, recruiting classes like we have now. I don't know. I guess it's complacency. We're used to 55 points a game. It's not going to happen, people. What will happen, and what I hope happens, is he needs to get back to physical football.
See,
I don't care.
That's perfect. I'll argue that one.
I will lose by 40 points to Alabama if we run the ball 30 times and, just bruise them. I want Alabama to feel that they played the University of Louisville Cardinals. That first series of the football game, they had Crum. Crum came over, bowled over 2 Alabama defenders. Then the ref wants to throw a flag and stop our momentum, which kind of upset me a little bit. But you know what? I didn't see Crum at all in the rest of the football game. What the? I was upset. I was like, come on, man. Let's just hit somebody.
Right.
That's all I want. That's what frustrated me the most out of the football game.
We
didn't hit anybody after the first quarter.
I appreciate the call. You're totally right. Like I said, I got no problem saying, Coach, you aborted the run way too fast. I know it's Alabama. I saw some creases. I thought the running backs could have hit some creases harder. That's easy to do. That's easy to say. Hey, I thought you put pass in some bad situations. I don't think we lost the game because you're coaching. That's what I want to separate. I didn't think the guys pursued tough enough. I didn't think the defense had bad intentions when they went to go hit somebody. That's a fact. So if I could get people to be honest about the football product, I wouldn't need to waste time talking about job, which it's not a conversation anyway. Again, Steve said it best. I'm not going to waste my time talking about job stuff. If y'all are so convinced that he's doing such a poor job, then you're not watching the whole landscape of football. If you compare, if if you hold Bobby accountable like you would say with somebody else, with the 5 stars that Florida State has, for them to score 3 points, according to you, the coach got to go yesterday. You giving them one season, one bad season, and every coach got to go with the top 10, with a top 5, top 10 recruiting class. And if that's how you like your sports, then there's nothing I can do about that. But my sports is development and growth and character and building and long-term patience and program building. Like maybe we're different about that. I will tell you, it's your fault if your cornerbacks do not turn around and try to find the ball. You can coach that up, or you have to make more substitutions. You know what Steve and I said on this show? We both jumped off this clip. I don't expect to see Trey Smith starting. That's saying we don't like that Bobby decision. That's easy. That's easy to be critical. That's not being soft. I think you made a bad decision about Trey Smith. You know, he was in there too long. I think you got to punish Jalen Smith quicker. You know what I'm saying? When I don't see you dive, or I don't see you go for an interception. I think you listen. I'm not saying bury him on the bench. I'm saying that play, you take him out the game. The moment you see it on a jumbotron, you put him down. You put somebody else in. That third and 13. I don't know if it was Grenard maybe, but that ball gets out in the flats, and I see the linebacker half stepping, the cornerback kind of trotting. You give up that 3rd and 13, y'all got to come out the game. I don't know how long, but you got to come out the game. These are criticisms of coaching, but they're not overreactions on the program. We've been going an hour 15, and I just forgot that I was doing a radio show. Quick commercial break. Again, people, we are on the YouTube channel. I always got to say that. We are made for the Ville. 8150-939 is the number. 3831-939. The conversation we're going to have when we get back. What has changed in your mind from Saturday, immediately following the game today, to today? If nothing, it's okay. If something, if you thought worse of it, I can see where you can get angrier. I can see if you had higher expectations and you got angry. But you got to be able to give me a good excuse or a good reason why. Midday with Marcus Maben. 8150-939 is the number. 939 the Ville.
Looking to try something different tonight? Pick up a bottle of Cabernet Sauvignon.